All right, welcome to another trading analytics video. Before I kick things off, I want to mention that the stock market is closed tomorrow due to the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. Trading will obviously resume on Tuesday. Now that we have that out of the way, I want to discuss some new developments in the market, and I'm going to go ahead and kick things off with the S&P 500 or SPY. So the first biggest thing that we want to talk about is how we had the bull breakout over this downtrend line that has been, we've been rejecting from for quite a while. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that the close over 598 has been a difficult task for the bulls, and I'll show you what I mean. If you look right here, you can see where I have these green arrows where closing over the 598 level was an issue. And so you can see sellers stepped in on Friday. And, once again, we were not able to get the close over the 598 zone. So again, from here, I do want to mention that we do have this 594 gap open. This doesn't have to fill at all, but I would say that the bulls can start feeling much more comfortable, and I'll show you what I have here. Yeah, the bulls can feel much more comfortable if we are able to kind of get over the 598 level and get an actual close above it. I would feel much better about the new all-time high test, and obviously or not the new all-time, the previous high test, and then obviously maybe a new all-time high test after that, somewhere around 615 to 616. So again, the biggest thing here is getting that close over 598. That's going to be big. We're also going to keep in mind that we do have the 594 gap opened. Now, one other thing I will mention is that we have not gotten our first higher low bounce here. So again, we could come back down to the gap at 594 and maybe even lower towards the 50 EMA. And again, even if we came down and filled the 585 gap, that could easily be a higher low in our trend count. So again, what I want to mention here is I don't necessarily think that we're coming down here at all. I'm not going to say that we're not, but I'm just going to say that there is a lot of situations that can happen next week, and so we need to remain open-minded as traders to all of those factors, right? We do have the bull breakout, so we're going to give the edge to the bulls, right? And again, once I mentioned before that once we get the close over 598, I think that that's going to be the big key where bulls can feel absolutely comfortable and looking for those all-time high tests. However, let's stay open-minded to the gaps that we have below. Let's stay open-minded to the fact that we need to put in a higher low. Let's stay open-minded to the fact that we did not get the close over 598 previously, and this has been met with big rejections in the past. So you can see right here, we basically sold down for multiple days in a row. This one was also a multi-day sell-off, and then here we are again, and we need to see what happens on Tuesday. But again, none of these are coming off of a heel of a bull breakout. So this time there wasn't a bull breakout necessarily, and this one there wasn't a bull breakout either. This one does have the bull breakout. So this could be a different scenario here. I don't necessarily believe in the fact that we're going to get a big downside move, but I want to remain open-minded to the fact that, ever since we got into this area before, the kind of selling we saw after. So I want to remain open-minded as a trader. I am leaning bull, as you guys already know, but let's just keep that in mind going into the next week. All right, before we get into the NASDAQ 100, I did want to play a clip from the previous video where we were covering the NASDAQ 100 in that video and kind of what we were kind of expecting based on some of the price action. So I want to play that clip for you really quick before we get into the actual analysis of the NASDAQ. Now, if you notice, the retest of the breakout on the NASDAQ 100 just happened, right? So on the NASDAQ 100, we kind of already got that out of the way. So from here, like I said, when I mentioned I wanted the holy grail entry on the S&P 500 was a retest of the breakout. Well, if that's the holy grail entry on the S&P 500 for me, why wouldn't it be the holy grail entry on the NASDAQ 100 where we're getting the retest of the breakout here? So again, I thought this was very interesting that the NASDAQ already, had its retest of its breakout already. This could signal that whatever pullback we just had is over. All right, on the NASDAQ 100 or QQQ, much like the S&P 500, we did get the bull breakout from this downtrend, and I'll kind of show it to you here. You can see with this green arrow here, that is our bull breakout here. Now, the one thing I will say, right, I need to cover downside just as much as the upside. I don't believe that we'll get this downside scenario, but once again, I do need to cover it. So if this ends up being a what we call a bull trap, what you're going to see is we're going to lose the 20 EMA. The 20 EMA is right around 515.98, or let's just call it 516 to keep it simple. This 20 EMA is right around the 515.98 level. And so once we lose it, right, that would put the bear scenario right on the table. This will look like a bull trap, and essentially we'll come back down here, and I have it in yellow, and this is towards the 492 level. This 492 level is our gap fill that was left open on the NASDAQ 100. And so this would be the bear scenario. If this ends up being a full-blown trap for the bulls and we lose that 20 EMA, I am going to start setting my eyes on the 492 level. Now, once again, I do not believe that this is a bull trap per se, right? We do have what we call a falling wedge like structure here on the daily chart, and it kind of looks like that, and I'll draw it out here. And then this is kind of where you start getting your breakout, and something like this ends up taking place. So again, I do expect the NASDAQ 100 to get towards the all-time highs again, somewhere around 538. I do believe we'll get there, and maybe even a bit higher depending on how earnings go. I do believe we're starting to get a lot of tech earnings, which is going to heavily influence a lot of the movement that we're going to get in the market next week. I think we kick things off with Netflix on Tuesday. So again, I do believe that the NASDAQ has a date with higher prices. I don't believe that the bears will win this scenario. I do think there can be some little pullbacks intraday that we really don't need to worry about much. But again, the big thing is to remain objective as a trader. And if we do lose the 20 EMA or the 516 area, we do need to be objective and start managing risk. So once again, watch out for some earnings next week. I do believe that the NASDAQ does have a date with the all-time high. So again, off of this falling wedge-like structure, I do like the bulls' chances, especially since we did get a bull breakout. So once again, I think it's all about remaining objective, following price, following the chart itself. Bull breakout means you're going to want to lean a little bit more on the bullish side. We do have perfect structure for the bulls to go higher. But once again, if we lose critical levels, we do need to remain objective towards the bear side, and obviously, take some risk off the table. If you are already long, take some risk off the table if we start losing key levels. So I think that's the best way to play the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 500, truthfully. I think it's the best way to play both of them at this point. So we'll obviously have to wait and see next week. All right, jumping over to MSTR, or MicroStrategy stock. Before I even get into the analysis of this, I want to play a clip from the previous video that was posted last week, and basically covered some of the price targets that I had on MicroStrategy. So let's tune into that really quick here, and then we'll get into the analysis. So assuming the NASDAQ 100 or the overall stock market can put together some kind of rally back towards all-time highs, this will be a chart that can really get going in the bulls' favor, and I do believe that this can push well over $400, assuming that the market is bullish. So keep this one on your radar. It's going to be a very powerful move, assuming all of the stars align, like I just mentioned. As you can see, a lot of the trade idea on MicroStrategy is largely playing out for us based on the last video. And in the Discord server, we did get the drop on that a little bit earlier. It actually went in the Discord server before it even made it to YouTube. And we were up over 400% on that trade idea as of the market close. It was an absolute banger of a trader alert. And these are the kind of ideas that we talk about all the time in the Discord server, amongst many other things that we do in there. But as far as analysis goes, right, as I mentioned before, this arrow is very much so already starting to play out. Now, again, I do want to say that in order for the entire arrow to play out, let me get my little brush here. I think this is going to take, the better part of the year to get all the way up here again. However, a lot of this arrow is already starting to kick off, and obviously we're getting paid very handsomely in call options, as mentioned before. So from here, again, we are coming up on a little bit of resistance here. This area has been a little bit tough for the market, right around 444. We probably get up there and then probably see a break of that level, depending on how much momentum we have in the market next week, as far as how Bitcoin is doing, how the overall market is doing with earnings. I think we can probably blow right past that before getting some kind of pullback to a higher low, and basically retesting this level here right around 383 or somewhere around there, 383, 390, somewhere in that region, before absolutely taking off and ripping faces throughout the course of the year. I do believe MicroStrategy is going to be a gem of a growth stock here in 2025. I do believe that even if you're going the, shares route or leverage shares, I do believe this is a very good investment, not financial advice, of course, for the year of 2025. I think this stock has a great year, as I mentioned already. So that being said, look for this 444 level coming up next. I do believe we'll probably get there. And then we'll see what happens once we get in that region. Like I said, I do expect us to go through it before getting the higher low pullback. But once again, I do think that's the next destination. So again, if you're not in this play yet, I will say you are late and you are chasing a little bit if you decide you want to get in this. However, 444 is what I have next. So we'll see where we open up on Tuesday, and we'll see if there's a little bit more room for you late individuals to get a little bit of cash from this play. But overall, I do believe if you are going the shares route and holding throughout the course of 2025, I do believe that this will be a great move throughout the year. So once again, not financial advice, but it is one of my great growth stock yearly picks for the year 2025. All right, we're going to go ahead and jump right into our first trade idea of tonight's video, which is going to be Mr. Jensen himself, or NVIDIA. And so as you can see, we did get a nice breakout very early in the year, and we did participate in that trade in our Discord server. I think we did just around 140% give or take on that trade. It was kind of the first trade that we took, and it was what kind of set off our year at Trading Analytics. And so, we did get a pullback and a rejection from that 152 area. And basically what we've done is we've kind of retested the bottom of this consolidation period, which I have marked right here in this white line here. And so we did get a nice bounce from there. And so from here, we could easily see NVIDIA round back up to retest the highs, which is right around 152. Now, again, the timing and all this is what makes this difficult. Does this happen, end of this month? Does it happen in February? When does this happen, right? Does it take earnings to get us up into these regions? That part we can't say for sure. Now, what I would say is if the overall market is moving in a bullish manner, just kind of like the scenarios that we gave earlier in the video on the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 500, if we can get those indexes to move in the bullish direction overall, I do think NVIDIA will participate in that and obviously start making a move north with this consolidation. So I do think that it is going to take the better part of the overall market to be more in the bullish camp in order for this to start playing out. Now, again, I do believe the next time we visit these regions, we will break past this and make a new all-time high, probably towards 165 is my projection. So this would be the trade idea that I'm looking at. I do think you can ride some momentum to the upside with the overall market here. Now, I don't think that you'll get all the way up here towards 165 by February or early February, but I do believe there is some terrific gains that could be had on NVIDIA coming out of this consolidation and getting a nice bounce from the lower end of it. So continuation towards 145, 146, and maybe even a test of 152 could definitely be in the cards on NVIDIA here, probably in the next few weeks. So keep that in mind here. As long as bulls are able to, start closing candles over 138 and then eventually 140, I do believe we'll probably get back towards 152 in due time, assuming the overall market is in the bullish camp. So keep an eye on NVIDIA here. I am expecting more upside here in the short term. So we will obviously have to wait and see how everything goes next week. All right, we're going to jump over to our very next trade idea in tonight's video, which is going to be Alphabet or Google stock. And I'm going to go ahead and start on the weekly chart before jumping over to some of the shorter time frames, and then we'll kind of just move our way down from there. So the first thing that you'll see here is I have a nice little channel here on the weekly chart with Google. And you can see every time we've kind of worked our way from the bottom of the trend line, or I would say the channel, we basically got our way to the top, right? So you can see it happened here, and we got a nice little bounce from this lower trend line again, and it looks like we're going to be heading back towards the upper trend line, right? And that upper trend line takes us somewhere into the 220s. And so why do I believe that, right? So again, here on the weekly chart, we are getting a very nice sideways consolidation here. A lot of the times you'll see this before a nice bullish move to the upside. Now, if I drill down to the daily chart, you'll see it even more here. We have a very nice consolidation going on the daily chart of Google here. And so again, you can see we got a nice little move up, and then it's just been a nice sideways consolidation. And usually once you see a consolidation like this does give you higher prices. So once again, I do believe we'll get up into that 220 area. And again, now the 220s could take earnings to get this, this entire move to happen up towards the 220s. That could take earnings. Now, in the shorter time frame, which is, for a lot of you guys here tonight, I do believe we can get towards that 205 area and maybe 205 to 208. I do believe we'll test somewhere in that region, just beginning to break this lower trend line, or sorry, this upper trend line here. And so that kind of looks like this. You got your sideways consolidation, and then we kind of get to this upper trend line, which is 205, and then possibly break it a little bit to the upside towards 208, 209 area. And I think from here, it's probably going to take earnings to get up towards, the upper trend line that we, spoke about on the weekly chart. I think it's probably what's going to end up happening. That's my best guess for you guys. But this consolidation on Google looks really good. We are also above all of our moving averages, so I really like that, right? You can see that we are above the moving averages on both the weekly here and the daily chart. So Google looks bull, real bull actually. And again, if the overall market decides to participate, kind of what we were talking about in the earlier analysis in the video on the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100, if we can get the bullish scenario with the bull breakouts that are occurring there to continue to play out, the overall market will support the move of Google. And I do believe Google will go ahead and start testing higher prices. So keep this one on your watch list. Obviously, this is not financial advice. You'd be taking any of this at your own risk. So do as you please with this information. But I do believe this is a good trade, assuming that the overall market is bullish. So we'll have to obviously wait and see with more developments of next week. All right, jumping over to Tesla stock here. I did want to put this right back on your radar as a continuation idea. But before we even get into the analysis, I do want to play a clip of what we covered in the last video and kind of show where we were. And then I want to kind of get into where we stand today right after that. Once we get up here towards 420, like I mentioned in the Discord server, if we can break and close a 4-hour candle above 420, I do believe Tesla can get ready to go on a major face-ripping run back towards 460 and maybe even back towards all-time high.
Come here, Elon. Did you see his rocket yesterday? It was captured. And X is with him. X. Come on, Elon, say a couple of words. Okay.
All right, so as you can see, a lot of what we discussed in the last video in regards to the 4-hour chart and this consolidation that we had and getting the nice move up out of that 4-hour consolidation has started to play out on Tesla. And as you can see in the Discord server, we played Tesla a few times in and out, and we were up over 100% multiple times in that particular trade idea. Now, what I would say from here is, one, we got to look at the fact that we're above all of the moving averages. Two, it does look like we are somewhat putting in higher lows. As you can see out of the consolidation, you can see that we're just kind of slowly putting in some higher lows here. And so the big key for me on Tesla is this white line that I have going across, which is right around the 420 area. If we can hold this line here on the 4-hour chart, I do believe Tesla can continue to make higher lows and push towards not only this 460 area, but also possibly getting back towards previous all-time highs at 488. Now, again, 488 could take some time. I'm not saying that this is a very short move that's going to happen next week or the week after that. What I am saying is that Tesla will continue to work its way towards this price target, assuming that we continue closing above this particular support level here and what we call a breakout level as well. As long as we close above that, I do believe we can continue marching to higher prices on Tesla. And just like all the other trade ideas that I mentioned, as far as Google, MicroStrategy, and all of the above, a lot of this is going to be contingent upon the overall market remaining bullish, as we discussed many times already. So this is what I'm looking for on Tesla right now. Where the market closed, it was somewhat very close to this white support area. So as long as we don't open below this and the market's able to kind of keep buyers in this region, I do believe that Tesla is going to start marching towards all-time highs slowly as the market remains bullish. All right, jumping over to the final trade idea of today's video. It's none other than Mr. Bezos himself, or Amazon stock. This is my favorite setup out of all the setups I've given so far in this video, and it's actually my favorite chart in the stock market. So let's go over why that is. So one, we are above all of our moving averages. That's first and foremost. Second, we do have this lower trend line here, right? And I'll tell you the significance of that in a moment. So again, if you look, we got this nice little move up here, right? And I think this was like through December, and we basically got a very nice sideways consolidation, right? And from this sideways consolidation, we did get the bounce from the lower trend line out of that sideways consolidation, which is always a good sign, right? And so we're getting our move up. And my first price target here is 232, which is basically the top of the consolidation. That's the very first price target that I have on Amazon stock. Above that, I do believe we can push into the 240s. And then the Grand Slam target would be up here at 251. Now, I do believe this Grand Slam target over at 251 probably is going to take after earnings. And so swinging call options through earnings, as everyone knows, is always a very risky deal. But again, I do believe it'll take earnings to get towards 251. However, I do believe the move towards 232 and maybe even a little bit higher than that towards maybe 240, we can probably get that before earnings, assuming the market is bullish. So this is my favorite setup of the entire stock market at this particular time. I'm not saying that there is, no setups that are better than this. It's just this is the best one that I found and out of the ones that I've looked through. And so in our Discord server, we've already taken our entries in Amazon. I always tell you guys here on YouTube that the Discord server is usually in these trades long before you guys ever hear about them. Now, I will say that this is still the early innings of Amazon by my estimation, not financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy, sell, or hold Amazon whatsoever. I am just simply stating that I do believe Amazon is poised for a move north. We are in this trade in the Discord server. We're up about 30%. So if you want to get in on these early trade ideas from myself and obviously the rest of the staff here at Trading Analytics, you will want to join the Discord server. Link to that will be in the description below, as well as the pinned comment of this video. That being said, guys, we do have a very short week next week with just 4 days with the Martin Luther King holiday, and so I wish and pray that you guys will have a phenomenal week. Make sure you guys remain disciplined. Let's absolutely crush it, and we'll be back in the next video. See you.